is Leszek Samowski, and this is Fitness Soul Podcast. And today with me, we've got Gary Blackwood.
That's right.
Yes, that's it. Gary, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Great to be here.
We met a couple of weeks ago, isn't it?
Right.
And what struck me is that you and me, we're doing different professions, but we're almost doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We're helping people. So how are you helping people? What you do?
My main aim is to help people build the energy and the resources that they need to be healthy. And I see fitness as being the same thing, that education, empowerment is a large part of it. For me, as a chiropractor, my hands-on work is about improving the function of the spine, improving brain function by reducing stress, and as I say, giving them the resources.
So, okay, so how are you doing this? You do this manually mostly? Because the chiropractor for me, since, I don't know, last year when I had my first treatment, I have no idea what you guys doing. So if someone never hear about chiropractor, how you are different from, let's say, GP?
That's a very good question. So as a profession, there are a number of different techniques that we have available to us, and different chiropractors will use different techniques. For me, I do a mixture of techniques. So I'll do cranial work for helping people balance their brain and reducing the effects of stress. So if you can imagine, you've got an 8-ounce glass. If the amount of stress that you have is 7 ounces, then the hands-on work brings that down. So you've got less stress to deal with, less stored stress in your brain and nerve system. But also over the years, what tends to happen is that we adopt stress patterns in our body, contractions, which limit our capacity. So instead of having an 8-ounce glass, we've only got a 4-ounce glass. So my combination of techniques is to reduce the stress that you're dealing with from day to day, but then also increase the capacity of your body and brain to manage and deal with stress as well.
How do I know how big is my glass? Can you look at me, or how you can quantify that? Is there any way? So I know that I have to see you. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the contractions, the way that they show up is that you've got stored muscle tension. Can you completely and deeply relax the muscles when you don't need them? For me, if somebody's laying down on my bench, for example, all of the muscles that hold them upright should be switched off. Of course, because they don't need to be worked. They're laying down on the front. They're still holding tension in those muscles. The nerve system's still telling them to contract those muscles. Then they've got less capacity than they should have.
Mm-hmm.
Other ways to show up are colds and flus. You keep getting recurrent illnesses, or there are symptoms that are showing up, pain, headaches. For me, there's also a sense of imbalance. If when you're looking in the mirror, are your shoulders level, or is there an imbalance? Are your pelvis, is that level, or is there an imbalance? Mm-hmm. This all shows contracture and patterns of tension that the body's holding.
Okay, so in many cases, when you've got the flu or you've got the cold, it's not necessary you should take the paracetamol. You should look a little bit further back and see what was the cause of it.
Yeah, and so we say that we're doctors of chiropractic, DCs, or doctors of cause. We're looking to find the underlying cause for the reason that you're getting these symptoms, and that's what we're looking to understand.
So what's the for how long you've been practicing chiropractic?
10 years now.
10 years. So in your 10 years of practice, what's the main thing or main common things which people coming into you to help you with? Is it the pain mostly, or?
Most of the time people are coming in for symptoms. That's what kind of drives people towards wanting to improve their health. And then a large part of my education process is to say to them, well, are there better ways to understand how well you're functioning? So the example that I ask people to imagine is, imagine somebody that's 100% healthy. And for me, 100% health means 100% function throughout their body all the time. If somebody went from 100% health down to 99% health, do you think they'd experience symptoms at that point?
Probably not.
Probably not. No.
Yeah.
So then the question is 98, 97, 96. At what point does that lack of function show up as symptoms? Mm-hmm. So it could be 70% function, 60%, but wherever it is, it's going to differ from person to person. It's that lack of function that shows up as symptoms. So people tend to use that as their gauge as to whether or not they're healthy.
Lack of function, which shows in the pain, or not necessarily? Or basically they cannot lift their arm anymore, and it's just
Yeah, so people are coming in. So I've got headaches, I've got neck pain, I've got low back pain. These are typical presentations, or I've got this sports injury. So they'll come in and say, well, like a story that I've heard quite a lot is, all I did was I bent forward to pick up a pen and my whole back went out. It's like, well, do you think you're at 99% function or at 70% function or 60% function when your back went out? And what was the cause of you dropping away? So it's typically the accumulation of stress over the years that leads to them being at 70% function. Oh, they picked up a pen and their back went. And so then we have to rebuild their spine, rebuild their nerve system to improve function. As the function improves, the health improves. The symptoms drop away then as a side effect of improving that function. And then education is a key part of that as well. What kind of habits can we bring into your lifestyle that are going to bring your health levels, function levels back up to operating in 90% rather than dipping in and out of pain at 60 or 70%.
And you're just jumping up and down and then treating the cause of pain. No, not the cause. You're treating the pain and then you're getting better and then going back and forth.
That can happen. Yeah, absolutely. And so then if you start to shift your understanding of what causes the symptoms, then you shift the way that you deal with it.
I can see there is a very close, like there is a similarity with this and with people trying to lose weight. A lot of people do the same thing with the dieting. They get into this some point where they're thinking, yeah, I'm a little bit too fat. I'm gonna do something about this, and then they do up to the place where they can fit all the clothes, and then suddenly they're stopping because they're thinking, that's fine. But thinking this way, they're only reaching 70% instead of trying to find a cause what put them fat in the first place.
And so I really work with the people that come through my clinic to help them establish new and healthier habits. And that allows, particularly, there's more energy, the symptoms go away, so then they've got more energy, they can do more, they're more productive at work, and then they've still got energy left over to spend quality time with family and friends. And so the rewards of being healthier are there for everybody to see. It's just kind of helping them to establish those habits to make that a reality.
So what you would do to start with, if I came to you?
History and exam. So the first 40-minute session, we really want to understand who you are, what brings you into the office, what's driven your decision to want to be healthy. And it's rarely the pain, to be honest. It's rarely like, oh, I've got this pain. Sometimes the pain is so bad that people are just like, right, well, I've got to get this sorted out. But most of the time it's like, oh, I've got this pain and it's stopping me from playing golf, or it's stopping me from picking up the grandkids. And I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to look after them. I want to be able to play this sport. And so that's what they want to get back to. So then we do the assessment, the history, the examination. I put together my program and we talk about an individualized type of care where there's hands-on care, and then we build in habits, whether for some people, as you'll know yourself from building exercise at the beginning, just drinking a bit of water or going out for a walk makes a big difference. But then as you get healthier, you have to be a bit more refined in your choices, and there's fewer choices to make, and they make less of a difference the healthier you get. So you just have to get better and better at managing that.
I think longer I do what I do, like coaching people how to move, I realize that it's better to do, as you said, the small steps. And just there's a nice saying about this, like the smallest step to get you the bigger reward. Because to start with, like I was putting people into the program, which was everything. And suddenly they've been like overwhelmed by that. And within like 2-3 weeks, they said, I cannot do it. But if you said just drinking water to start with, or just sit taller, or I don't know, taking a walk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gradually building this up.
And you want to see the benefits and you want to feel the rewards very quickly, because that's the only way that you're going to be motivated to carry on doing it. It's like, oh, I've just started walking half an hour a day and I feel more energized and my posture's better and I'm sleeping better. It's like, oh, okay, so let's keep doing this and let's do a little bit more and then let's add this in and add this in.
So it's basically, everyone can improve, isn't it? I see some people sometimes they think, oh, I think, why you cannot do this? Because I've got this pain in my back. It's been there forever. I can get used to it.
Yeah.
Have you seen people like that as well?
I have.
And
yeah.
they kind of get used to it. They said this is part of their life
Yeah.
at this moment, and they kind of taking granted. Yeah, that's it. You cannot do anything about this. So, and you saying you cannot. You can. You can change.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen people kind of, I guess an example was a guy who came in with knee pain. Mm-hmm. He said, I had to give up football years ago, but now I'm having to stop running and I can't live without my running. So I've got to find a way to get back into running.
Yeah.
And a few months later, he came in with his sports kit on, all looking really happy with himself. So what's going on? So I'm back playing football. So that's good to know. He could have told me that, but no. So
and he already said no for football.
He'd given up years ago.
Giving up.
Yeah, yeah. And so once you increase your health, build those routines in, then you can get back to doing what you love, and that's the real reward of what I do is seeing people do that.
Yeah, that's. When we just before we started recording, we talked about a little bit about the stress as well, and you said you helping people reduce the stress, but we've been talking about this. The stress is good as well in many cases, and at this moment, everyone is trying to completely reduce the stress. Like today, there is no stress at all, which is I thinking it's really bad thing. Which we went too far. Obviously, a lot of people are stressed out completely. This is not good. Not really good place to be, but the other side of the scale is not good either, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. It is about finding that balance. I came up with an analogy the other day in saying, right, so if you imagine your body's running like a car, and you really want the physiology to be running and the body to be working in such a way that you're powering along nicely at 70 miles an hour. If your car is resting idle and your physiology is resting idle, that's too slow. Mm-hmm. And that's not enough. But then at the other end of the scale, if you've got your foot on the clutch and you're really revving the engine and not really going anywhere but really overcharging, then that's bad as well. And I'd probably say that about 70% of my patients are at that end of the scale. They've just got too much, they're too wired, and they can't unwind and relax. But I do have people that have been living with pain for such a long time that it's difficult to kind of get them moving and get the body healing and itself and then resting as a result. Because if you don't do the exercise, if you don't burn the calories, then it's difficult to get a good night's sleep as well. And you're kind of caught in that zone where you don't have enough energy to do exercise, but then not doing the exercise means that you can't rest. And
it's because a lot of people who I train with here, the first thing they stop when everything, like their life is really hectic and they're saying they got this job assignment and this, the first thing is they stop coming to the exercising and they stop doing anything. Yeah. And obviously this is vicious circle, isn't it? Yeah. Because at some point it will catch on you. You will have a little bit more time, but in the same time, this is crucial to move your body a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have to kind of rein it in again and build it back up, then it's still very important to keep moving. There are just so many benefits to exercise, from burning off stress hormones to keeping the body supple, to keeping the nerves strong, to moving the spine. I think Roger Sperry in his research said that 90% of the stimulation to the brain comes from the spine. But then there's also research to show that stem cell proliferation happens in the brain when you do exercise. So this helps to protect against dementia, because the Carefilly study shows us that there's no cure for dementia, and the best defense against it is a healthy lifestyle. And within the 5 healthy habits that they recommended, exercise was the most important one. And even not necessarily the exercise such doing Zumba or all you need to do is just go for a walk. Yeah. And especially going outside. I was reading this research about, it's basically when they took 2 groups, and one group, it was about the creativity. Yeah. And the people who go for a walk for half an hour before the task, they are 60% more creative than people who just sit down and they did nothing. Yeah. Which is
60% is huge.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's a huge difference.
And we don't use it, and we could use it every day. It's basically, that's so simple, and many times you're thinking, this cannot be that simple, isn't it? Have you got this sometimes? You know, someone is coming to you and they got this story, and you're trying to help them, and the first reaction is, I can sell you this thing, this massive picture. I will look really good when I do this. Or from the other hand, it's like, you know what? You don't need me. You just need to go for a walk. And in many cases, this going for a walk thing it's more important than anything what I do with them.
It is. I mean, there are times when people expect a more complex answer. They they're caught up in the idea that, well, everything that's going on is really complex, and so the only way that there's a solution to it is if the answer's kind of really complex as well. So,
yeah,
really. I mean, there are 5 healthy habits, and you apply the ones that you enjoy the most first, and then gradually, as you recognize.
What are the 5 habits you mentioned? And
oh yeah. So exercise, obviously, but within exercise there are the 3 S's. So there's strength, suppleness, and stamina. And oftentimes people overlook the suppleness and just forget to stretch. So there's nutrition, and nutrition's like a whole nother topic. It's like years of anyway. So there's exercise, nutrition. There's a positive mental attitude, having the right kind of approach towards things. There's rest,
which is
huge. Like a good night's sleep, but even like knowing with your training habits when to press and when to ease off. And then the 5th one has just gone out of my head. It was there just a moment ago. It'll come back in a second.
It will come back. But the rest is great. You mentioned the rest. A lot of people, and I've been there as well, if you're trying to get better, you just do more things. Like for me, training for triathlon, but also when I was studying, you're thinking more time I spend in front of the book, it's better for me. But there is some moment that I think they said is like on 90 minutes that you have to stop and just reset a little bit.
Exactly, yeah. 90 minutes is exactly the right length of time. Some people can go to 120, but even when I'm speaking to businesses, I'm going into companies and doing lunch and learns. You want to structure your day so that you do 90 minutes of deep work on a particular subject, then take a break.
Just on one subject, so you cannot multitask.
No, multitasking extends the length of time that something would take by up to 60%. So if you want to get it done, just focus on that one thing.
But a lot of people I saying that they're so happy with this. This is the pride, you know. They're saying, I can multitask, I can do this and this and this, but it's not necessarily...
Yeah, no, I have this debate with quite a lot of people. The research is very clear, men and women exactly the same. Each time you have to shift task, the brain has to recalibrate to take on that new task, and that recalibration drains energy. So you might feel more tired at the end of the day because of multitasking, and some people feel some kind of reward in that. It's like, oh yeah, I'm more exhausted. I must have worked harder, but you've been less effective. And research study after research study on how productive people have been through the day shows that multitasking is much less productive work. The 5th one, by the way, was cleanliness.
Okay.
And so in the Western world, we don't have to worry about that because we've got clean running water.
Yeah.
But, you know, you go to another country where there isn't clean running water and you see how important that cleanliness is.
So we've got most important rest. I would put the rest on the top, I think. I would put the rest, then nutrition, probably, then the positive attitude. Are there any tricks or what to do to have the positive attitude?
Wow.
Because you've got, I know it's hard, but you've got some people who are kind of, you can tell they're happy with their lives and you can see this in their eyes and in the face, and some people, they don't have it. And obviously people who have this, they work on this somehow. It's not like you are born this way and you are all life like that. There must be something, some tricks they do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole raft of books and approaches on how to do this. I think within rest, but also within this area.
So what you do? Because you look like a positive person, and you are a positive person. So what's your way?
Meditation.
Okay.
Yeah. building up to a daily practice of meditation.
What meditation do you do? Is it like what's your way of doing this?
For me, I've practiced all different types, but a couple of years ago I was introduced to Zen. So I just sit with my eyes open and I breathe and I pick something that's directly in my line of sight and I focus on it. And each time I become aware that my mind's wandered away, I bring my attention back to the thing that I was focusing on and breathe and focus on that. And so it used to be that if I'd sit for 20 minutes, I'd look at it, my mind would wander, and then the alarm would go off, 20 minutes are gone, and the whole time my mind's been wandering away.
Uh-huh.
And then over time, how long it is between your mind wandering and you becoming aware of it wandering away, that shortens. And the shorter that is, the better you're getting at meditation. But even if you sit there for 20 minutes and your mind wandering the whole time, that's still good.
So I remember when I started, I was really trying to get my brain back to it. And then someone explained me to this, that those thoughts that your brain goes away, it's not bad thing. It's actually a right thing.
Yeah.
Because this is what your brain does.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to shift it back to for me, it's the breathing mostly. I'm trying to keep my eyes closed. I cannot do this with the eyes open.
Okay.
But not yet. I think it's the same, like I really like to have a really quiet place.
Okay.
But it should be done also in any place, isn't it? You should be able to kind of zone out from this, or
once you're skilled. Yeah, I mean, once you're a skilled meditator, you can do walking meditations, you can kind of meditate whilst you're out doing things, but until you're a skilled practitioner, sitting still in silence is the best way. And that's why having a strong body is important. That's why I practice yoga, because if you can't sit still for 20 minutes, then the body becomes a distraction, and that makes it harder. If you want to sit with your eyes closed, that's absolutely fine. It's a great way to do it as well.
Is it 20 minutes because of what? Is it just your way of doing this, or you can do as long as 5 hours, or as little as 1 minute, or the 20 minutes? There is a research there that it tells you that.
Don't know of the research. When I started, I did transcendental meditation before, and he said 20 minutes. And now within Zen, the idea is to do 30 minutes. You can do more if you want, like if you really practice. I know Doshin, who's bringing Integral Zen to the UK, does an hour in the morning and an hour at night every day. And then the guy that taught him does 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night. It's like, we've got too much to do. There isn't that time. Yeah. And so for me, 20 minutes is the right kind of balance between just sitting there and getting the benefits, but actually having loads to do every day as well, and having to get all my work done.
And how do you feel this helps you with the life? I know this builds your positive attitude, but I hear this really nice explanation how we react to things, where something happens. Let's say, I don't know, I kick you. And then if you never meditate, you'll be like really angry very quickly, and your brain will just hijack yourself. Yeah. But when you meditate, you've got this option, this moment where you can kind of think how to react.
Yeah, that's a nice way. There's Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a wonderful read.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And he said that it took him a while to get it, but this thought kept going around in his head that between stimulus and response, there's a gap. And he kept thinking about that. What does that mean? What does that mean? He's like, between being hit and my reaction to it, there's a gap. And the size of that gap can be increased by sitting still and meditating. I mean, the benefits for meditation, from how it improves heart function to how it improves brain function, to this idea that there is this space and you can enlarge this space. It runs to many, many pages, many research papers on the
And
effects.
the research is huge now, isn't it?
Huge.
It used to be, the meditation was always there, but people just thought this is like kind of woo thing, that this cannot be anything to it. And now the paper shows that it's stupid not to do it.
I mean, I recommend it for everybody. And a lot of people are in the place, well, my mind is just always going. It's always chattering. It never settles down. It's like, well, it just takes time. It took me, I'll be honest, it took a couple of years of meditation before my mind just quietened down, so there was a gap in there, a space, but I had a very, very kind of active brain. And so then once you've learn to meditate or find some other way to calm your brain down, exercise is another way, then you get to choose your reaction and you get to choose which thoughts become predominant. If your mind's racing and you're having 60,000 thoughts a day, and of those 60,000, 59,000 are all kind of negative ones about, oh, I should have done that, or I should have done this, then that's going to lead to kind of a more pessimistic outlook. But as you slow your brain down and you say, well, I'm going to think positive thoughts about this, or I'm going to do my affirmations and ask myself positive questions like, why was I so successful in that race? You know, even though the race hasn't come up, you start to think positively about it.
I was thinking about this, and I think a lot of people, those people who are fighting with these thoughts all the time, and they thinking the life is very hard, they don't have enough big challenges in their life. Like, I'm just saying from my perspective, the moment I start doing kind of crazy things I do at this moment, like Ironmans and other things, this puts my life into massive perspective. Because suddenly I just realized that, you know, any pain I got, like, I don't know, I missed the bus or something, it's tiny to compare to the pain I was going through for 12 hours.
Sure.
And yeah, so it doesn't has to be, I think a lot of people realizing that when they get kids, for example, and everything changes in their life because they're thinking, well, it wasn't that bad actually before. And now unfortunately, they're seeing from they're in the harder place. So everything shifts. So the moms are a little bit more relaxed after. That's my thinking.
Yeah, there's these big kind of life challenges can kind of really shift the way that you think about it. I get to kind of work and help people who are obviously going through challenges. They're in a lot of pain. And for some of them, the way that they look at things, it completely shifts. I mean, if somebody gets a cancer diagnosis, for example, then all of a sudden that feud that they were having with a family member that's been dragging on for years, suddenly they find a way to mend that relationship because their perspective shifts. And so you can shift your outlook when you're faced with these challenges, or if you go out and you start volunteering or you kind of help people less fortunate than yourself, then the problems which are really big in your head suddenly become
in perspective,
smaller.
It's very small.
You see them.
I was reading this book at this moment. It's Iron John. I don't know if you hear about this. It's about them. It's mostly about the men, how they become from the boy to a man.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cultures before, and it's still happening in the world, people going through this initiations.
Okay.
How you call this? This is like, you know, when you are in the tribe and you are a boy, and then you getting through some really hard task, and then on the other side you become a man. So it's kind of lacking in our society, like at this moment, you know, when you are in this, there is nothing like that which makes you see how bad it could get. Everything is kind of smooth. You're going to school and then you go to study, you got job, and it's everything. There is no really challenges, which maybe there are mental challenges, but there's nothing for your body like that. I cannot find the word. Initiation. I will get back to it.
Rite of passage.
Right, there we go. That's it. That's what I was trying to say. And I think that, you know, the sport and maybe fitness or maybe some challenges, they are kind of sense of we're trying to do this now.
Okay.
I'm thinking that this is the reason I'm doing this as well to some extent. It's important. So I really, I think everyone should try something like that. Maybe not too extreme. Maybe not to some cultures are cutting themselves or going through through the bush of roses or something, which is really, really painful. It's not needed, but some.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on a similar note to that, there is a sense of wanting to find out what you're made of, like what you can do when put under pressure, and perhaps that isn't part of the culture to do that. So it's nice to know for yourself what you can do and kind of build a strength of mind off the back of that. Realize that you are a lot more powerful and a lot stronger than perhaps you think you are. And we don't always get that opportunity to test ourselves and kind of find out, like, well, where are my limits really? Are they kind of self-imposed limits that I've created or been brought up with, or are these actually my limits? And so let's just kind of play with that a little bit, and exercise as a safe environment to say, well, let's just kind of push myself a bit more, and then say, well, I always thought that I was going to be working in this environment, but actually I can become a leader, or I can do my own thing. I have got the resources, I have got the strength to step out there and really do what it is that I want to do, and not kind of accept kind of limitations that may have been put there through cultural hypnosis or through the way that you were raised aren't necessarily your actual limitations. And I think that meditation and exercise are a great way of kind of opening yourself to taking on more, realizing that actually, and particularly with health, you can take on board more stress than you thought you could before your body starts to collapse under the weight of it. It's like, oh, I tried to do that, but everything, I got really contracted and I didn't want to commit to it fully. It's like, well, actually, now that I've got these resources, I can find that leading edge and I can do more, and I can take on board more stress and accept the leadership role and put myself out there a little bit more because I've got the health to manage it and the energy to do it.
I think that coming to this, I think the best moment in everyone's life is the moment when you say, I cannot do it, because you've got choice to actually do it and then try to do it. And this is where you get better in anything. It might be sport, it might be, I cannot walk every day, and then you can just prove yourself that you can. And it works in every aspect of life. So we haven't talked about nutrition yet.
Okay.
I know it's a massive topic. I'm not nutritionist. But I've got my way of doing things. Yeah. What's your way? I'm interested. How you eat?
So for me, there was a book that I read recently, which the guy is Dr. Christiansen. I can't remember the name of the book. Hopefully that'll come back to me. But when we look at cortisol levels, our cortisol levels should be high in the morning. So to get us up out of bed about 6 o'clock in the morning, our cortisol levels go up. They tend to peak around about 7, 8 o'clock, and then they drop through the day. And then in about 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, your melatonin levels, they start to rise, and that helps you to get a good night's sleep. And so carbohydrates suppress the release of cortisol. Yeah. And so we should have blood sugar. And if I remember this correctly, if we want more blood sugar, then the cortisol will activate the blood sugar. But if we've got lots of carbs in our system, then that's already blood sugar. So we don't need the cortisol to get that blood sugar out.
Okay.
Unnecessary bit of information, but there you go. And so if you have protein-based breakfasts with a little bit of carbs, and then gradually increase your carb intake through the day, so you've got a big carb meal in the evening, that will match your cortisol signature for the day. So I tend to have scrambled eggs or a protein-based shake for breakfast with a little bit of carbs, introduce more carbs around about lunchtime, and then have a carb-based with some protein and fats. I mean, all three meals should have all three elements: proteins, carbs, and fats. But the relative proportions of them is relatively high protein in the morning and relatively high carbs in the evening.
That sounds good. Sounds good for me. I trying to do this kind of the same thing basically, but I'm trying to kind of keep my fat low. I'm trying to keep the carbs kind of low all the time.
Okay.
Only after the exercise, I trying to eat. This is the only time I can eat carbs.
Okay.
In the big quantities. Obviously, I'm not talking about the vegetables. You can eat them anytime. But if you want to eat pasta, for example, or even pizza, the good time for it is just straight after exercising.
Okay.
So something like that. But you said about the melatonin, when you're getting to the sleep, it's like it's when it's getting dark, isn't it? The melatonin. But when you start searching internet and Facebook, and we've been talking about this before, this can put you off quite badly, isn't it?
The blue screen is an issue because it stimulates sunlight, and so that wakes your brain up again. So the cortisol starts to fire, and the melatonin goes back down again. So I think the tablets recently and some of the phones have got that red shift,
screen, yeah.
and so that it's less of an effect. But
do you think it works? I think it's still the aspect of concentrating on things. It's huge. It's the blue light, fair enough. But the other aspect is just checking those things all the time.
Yeah, because then you see something that you need to action or you want to take care of, and it's getting to bedtime, and then your brain starts worrying about the solutions, and so it keeps you up as well. Yeah, so I definitely recommend less screen time
It's apparently,
in the evening.
I was reading this, that you can shift like 6 time zones when watching the screen with the blue light. So,
really?
So it's a shift zone. So it's like 6 hours.
Wow.
It can put you. So even though if you go to sleep and you fall asleep, your sleep is not as good as could be.
Okay.
Because it's like a lot of times when you are really, really tired, you go sleep and you just sleep straight in. But then not necessarily it's a good sleep, isn't it? Because you have to have those REM things in it. I'm not really I'm not familiar with it that much.
You should go through 90-minute cycles of sleep. So you go, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, with 4 is the deep sleep. And then you have REM sleep, and that's all within a 90-minute cycle. And you should go through the 90-minute cycles like 3 to 4 times, and then wake up during REM sleep, because that's when you're closest to being awake anyway. If your alarm goes off when you're in like stage 4 sleep, then you'll feel groggy all morning. And so it's worth paying attention to getting into the habit of falling asleep at the same time and waking up at the same time a number of 90-minute cycles later. I mean, that's if you really want to get into the detail.
And not really using you should wake up on your own. If you
ideally, yes. There are apps that have a half-hour window for the alarm going off. So if you say, I want to be waking up at 6:15, it will gauge from your sleep patterns whether you're in REM sleep and either set the alarm off at 5:45, 6 o'clock, or 6:15, so there's not waking you out of stage 4 sleep.
Yeah, but again, you've got the phone close to your bed, which is,
is
another thing. I'm struggling with one thing with sleeping. I know it needs to be dark. I love when it's completely dark, but then I love waking up when it's light.
Yeah.
And I'm always struggling with it. I need someone, like my wife, if she's listening to it, I need her to wake up like half an hour before and open the screens for me. This would be good.
Yeah, at the moment, it's our youngest daughter is coming through into the bedroom and waking us up. She's not opening the curtains, but she's definitely waking
So
me
you just become the dad? Is it your first?
Oh, no. I've got two young daughters. One who is 5.5 and the other is 2.5. And the 2.5-year-old, if she wakes up at 4 a.m. and think it's time to get up and have breakfast, she just comes through to our room.
So you don't have to have any alarm?
I don't need an alarm at the moment, no. I was teaching yoga at 5:30 Wednesday morning, and my daughter came through and woke me up at 4, so I had plenty of time for breakfast before I went to teach the class.
To get prepared. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Right, Gary, I think we were wrapped up here. It was a great chat. Thank you very much. What's the best place to find you? We'll put some links under the podcast as well. But you've got the website, is it?
whitetreechiro.co.uk. There's some blog posts up there. I really enjoy my writing, so please take a moment to have a look at those and make any comments that you like if you see any blog posts. But otherwise, I'm up in the West End and I'm quite happy to answer questions.
That's fantastic. Right, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that. I did. Thank you.
Thank you.